watching Dante's Boxing Nation.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So I wanted to talk about this Groves versus Froch rematch. I'm really looking forward to watching this. This should be a really entertaining fight to watch. You know, I'm going to tell you something. When it comes to the UK fighters, I truly believe they have the best personalities and charisma when it comes to selling a fight. I mean, these guys are so natural. They're always talking. They always have a clever way of coming back. You know, when they do a press conference, it is a real damn press conference. It's entertaining. It's not just the typical people going to the microphone saying, oh, it's going to be a great fight. I'm going to do my best. I'll see you guys on the date of the fight. No, they don't do that. They really sell themselves. And they're not really just selling themselves. This is really their personality. And it is really good for the sport. In fact, I truly believe that if we had more fighters in America with the type of personalities that they have over there in the UK, I truly believe the sport of boxing would be a lot bigger than it is today. I truly believe that. Those are the type of personalities that they have over there. And when it comes to Carl Froch, see, usually Carl Froch, he's always fighting against someone who's from another country, maybe an American fighter, maybe a fighter from Canada, and usually he's the only one with that type of personality. But now, all of a sudden, here he is in a fight with a countryman, right? And now they both have that personality. In fact, George Groves, he's more engaging when it comes to talking than Carl Froch is. Usually Carl Froch, he goes in press conferences building up a fight. He's somewhat of the bad guy. He comes off somewhat of the bully, right? But what's so funny about this fight right here is now there's a switch of the roles. And it seems to me like George Groves, he's more of the bully. Now, I don't know if any of you guys watched this show with Carl Froch and George Groves. I believe the name of the show is The Handshake. It's supposed to be a UK version of The Face-Off. But I'm going to tell you right now, that was some of the funniest shit that I have ever seen when it comes to an exchange between two fighters trying to sell a fight. So basically, the host of the show, he asked both fighters, are you guys going to shake hands? Both fighters, they look at each other, they think about it, and then Groves, he stands up and he says, yeah, I'll shake his hand. So once Froch stands up and he reaches out for Groves' hand, this is when George Groves, he yanks Carl Froch's arm to where it pulls Carl Froch off balance, and you can see this awkward look on Carl Froch as he's falling over the table, trying to keep his balance as he's grabbing the table. You could just tell, you know, he just really feels embarrassed, right? And then when Groves is still standing up, not even expecting anything else, this is when Carl Froch, he does the same thing, but he pulls and yanks Groves' arm even harder than Groves did it. And all you see is Groves flying over the table. It was hilarious, man. It was hilarious. If I could find the link by the time I upload this video, I'll add it into the description. But it was hilarious. It was one of the funniest things that I've ever seen between two fighters trying to build a fight. So anyway, let me go ahead and give my assessment on how I believe this fight will play out. First of all, I want to say this is a very competitive fight. It could go either way. I mean, on paper, it is definitely a 50-50 fight. The way the first fight ended, I think even though Carl Froch or George Groves was the one that got hurt, I still think that he has more momentum than Carl Froch does for the rematch. Because I believe that George Groves, he feels that I outboxed, knocked this guy down, pretty much did whatever I wanted to throughout the fight until I got hurt in that 9th round or whatever round it was. I think this is the way George Groves is looking at it. He's thinking now he's going to go ahead and finish what he started in that first fight, obviously excluding the final round when George Groves got stopped. Now, I'm going to tell you guys something. Once again, I don't only look at boxing from a fan's perspective. I also look at boxing from a boxing trainer's perspective as well. And I'll tell you, man, when I watch George Groves perform, especially when he fought against Froch in the first fight, I was really, really impressed. I mean, I looked at some textbook things. You know, these are the type of things that I look at and I say to my son, look at that move that he just did. We need to try that in sparring, you know, so on and so forth. I think George Groves, he put on that kind of performance. I mean, this guy, I like his rhythm. I like his speed. He has a very impressive jab. He has great defense, ring generalship, Just all around a very good boxer. I would call him a slickster, honestly. This guy is very slick in the ring and he's very intelligent. On top of all of that, he's always trying to set up a knockout while he's being intelligent in the ring, and that is the most dangerous fighter that you can go up against, okay? So now when it comes to Carl Froch is a decent boxer as well, but he doesn't have the defense. He doesn't have the type of rhythm or ring generalship that George Groves has. Now what Carl Froch does have, though, is he does have a really good long jab. But the funny thing about it was, even though Carl Froch is known for having that nice long jab, I thought George Groves was doing a better job out-jabbing Carl Froch in the first fight. And I think we're going to see that in the rematch as well. Long story short, the only chance I really see Froch having is him winning this fight the same way he won the first fight, which is getting beat up, getting outboxed, and maybe later on down the line catching George Groves with something and possibly ending it. Possibly having the referee stop it early or maybe even on time. But that's really the only way I see Carl Froch winning this fight. I truly believe that George Groves will go in there and outbox Carl Froch. And I believe when Carl Froch elects to fight on the inside, George Groves, he's going to accommodate Carl Froch and get the best of the inside action. Possibly deterring Carl Froch from fighting on the inside anymore and trying to outbox George Groves. So I see George Groves winning this fight, possibly even knocking down Carl Froch a couple times and maybe even getting a TKO or a knockout. But I definitely see George Groves winning this fight. Don't get me wrong, Carl Froch can do what he did in the first fight, like I said before, get his ass whooped for a couple of rounds and then come back and maybe land a lucky shot. All right, so that's pretty much all I got on this one, guys. I'm on to the next one.